video. Just give us a minute. Just give us a minute. Okay. Slide. Pritika Agarwal ma'am is here with us for the second session. She is a senior biology educator at Bharti Vidya Bhavan Vidya Ashram, Pratap Nagar, Jaipur. A former junior scientist in biotechnology, she is also an environment enthusiast and active social worker. She collaborates with non-profits like Hope and Beyond and Inner Wheel Circle and is associated with the Turner Syndrome Foundation, USA. She has led several expert sessions and is passionate about education and community outreach. We welcome you, ma'am. She is here for the session for today on the topic of engaging the community. Over to you, Pritika, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. And I'm thankful to sir to give me this opportunity to present my views on the topic here. So, I would also request sir to please allow me to make my student Shauryaveer Jirotia join with me. He will be presenting my presentation.
Yes, very good.
Thank you so much, sir. Shauryaveer is a very active participant. I should introduce him. And I'm thankful to him. Actually, sir, he has also made a website for us by the name of...
He's there, ma'am.
Yeah. So he's made a website, Earth Mitra. I'll be introducing that later on. So Shauryaveer, please share the slide. Yeah, so as we all know, the topic for today is engaging the community for a sustainable future. So we have already heard a lot about, and we've discussed a lot about the sustainable development. Why is it important? Why should we all do? What practices should we follow? But the most important thing is that if we try to do it alone, do we think that we would be able to bring a effective change in the community or the society? All of us know the answer that a single person cannot bring effective change in the society. So it is extremely important to engage with the community. So that is why we are going to discuss a few things about engaging the community for a sustainable future. Shall we please change? Next. Okay. So the imperative of sustainability, as we all know, is about caring for our planet by adopting the eco-friendly habits and reducing waste and supporting the renewable resource practices enthusiastically every day. So here I should emphasize on the term every day, because if we celebrate a single day that, as Earth Day or some Environment Day, and we just follow practices on that particular day, and we forget to do the conservation every day, so there would be no effective change and there would be no sustainable development ultimately. So the change or the practices have to be followed every day. And can you explain, or can somebody tell me what are the very small practices that we can follow in and out of the house, in the school, wherever we go? The very ones that we at times ignore, or even our children ignore. So what can be those practices which can be, if we follow, they will bring a lot of change in the sustainable development? Can somebody answer? You must have observed in our classrooms at times. Can somebody answer? What happens and what should happen? So we see that at times when we leave the classroom, suppose children are going for the games period, they leave the lights and fans on. So you have to tell them time and again, you have to reinforce this practice that they have to switch off those lights and fans while they leave the classroom. So this is just one example of an everyday practice that can be followed. Yes, next slide. Now, So what is the importance of community engagement and how can it bring an effective change? So the community engagement has a power of collective action. Like, as I already said, that one person cannot bring a change, not even two, not even three. It has to be a collective action at a larger scale, which ultimately will bring the change and which will ultimately bring to a sustainable development. So these are the points why community engagement matters. For example, it is beyond awareness. So just being aware does not suffice. For moving from knowing to doing, we have to foster active participation. The children, the parents, the students, and their families, our neighborhood, everything and everyone has to be involved ultimately. And similarly, they are the building blocks. For example, they cultivate the trust and they encourage collaboration if it is a community practice. Similarly, those people who have a shared vision, who share equal type of vision, equal type of motives, they make a great team. So this fosters the idea of shared ownership and collective responsibility. So if like simply telling children that you do this, I don't think they will follow. So if you give them if you tell them the importance of this collective action, and if you bring like-minded people together, then I think we can work. For example, this initiative made by Sir is a great initiative, I feel. Each one of us is placed in a different state. And if we start with our own school and ultimately you spread the idea, 101% we are going to bring a big change in the society. Next slide. So now ultimately, what are the foundational principles for the success of community engagement? So this process has to have a strategic planning. The purpose should be very clear. Why are we doing a particular activity? And it has to be systematic, how it has to be planned. Let's say, suppose we plan a collection drive of e-waste or paper waste or whatever. So if you simply, start with the big posters and just pomp and show, and ultimately you dump the paper where it should not be, it's not collected and dumped properly, there is no use. So the planning has to be very systematic and the purpose has to be very clear. Then there has to be a sustained engagement. If we are starting such practices in our school, only starting does not matter. It has to be sustained. The ongoing projects, ongoing participations have to be nurtured. Similarly, we have to collaborate, like we have to work with many people like NGOs or the people who are involved into collecting of this e-waste and the judicial practices, the judicial disposing of or recycling of waste. So we have to work towards those collaborations. Then there has to be some transparency and trust. If we are joining hands with the NGOs or government organizations, we should make sure that both the parties are transparent. For example, when we initiated the eco waste collection drive in our school, I faced the challenge that initially few parents were like they asked me the question, ma'am, will we get something in return? So at times this happens in the society that if you are spreading an idea and we are doing it for the environment, but not everybody would understand. So you have to make it very clear that every disposing of the waste is not going to give you a monetary gain. At times it has to be for the betterment and it has to be for a future generation. It has to be done. Similarly, the inclusion and diversity has to be there. Everybody should have a say in the collective action. It's not just that you just impose your idea on somebody. You have to discuss it with the organizations and take a collective step. Yes, next slide. So now, what are the different pillars of this community engagement? So if we think about it, if we ponder into the idea, we will first come to this idea that the first pillar of community engagement happens to be the parent and the family. So unless and until, like when we are giving the ideas to our children and they are not supported by their family, the parents don't support them, I don't think so that the idea can be carried forward. So it is both school and the parents should also be equally involved. And again, I'm giving you an example. For example, we also started with a milk packet collection drive in our school. We told children to bring the emptied and washed milk packets, which should be cut on the side so that there is no small piece of the packet coming out. So they should wash those emptied milk packets and then dry them and bring them to the school. So now again, what happened was that initially there were a lot of questions, like people asked, the children's parents asked, ma'am, would we get something in return? Then I had to convince them, sir, you would get a lot in return. Your children will live in a greener environment. They will breathe air which is full of oxygen. Then they were able to understand that why they need to be involved and what is their contribution. So ultimately, we started getting a lot of contribution for a lot of parents. So they happen to be the first pillar, and they, as educators, they are the first educators of their children. So they shape the values and daily routines. If they are not following the sustainable practices, the children will never follow, because children observe us and whatever we do, they follow. So the parents are the pillars and they are the first shapers of their characters. Then they also lay the early foundations, right? Yeah. Then coming to the next thing, that is, talking is very easy. It just giving a lecture or just taking a webinar is easier, but then it's easier said than done. So what are the practical steps and which might bring a profound impact on the society as a whole? So we can instill the daily habits in children. Okay, for example, waste reduction. If they start with their families, if the parents instill these habits that they have to use the reusables, they have to make eco-friendly choices. As sir also gave us an example that the meal planning can also be done in an eco-friendly manner. They should be taught that they should not leave any food on the platter, and then they should use the cutlery at times as far as possible. It should also be eco-friendly. Nowadays, every, substitutes are there for the cutlery. So we can use them. They should not bring any kind of plastic along with their lunch boxes and all those things. So then what are the outdoor practices that they can follow? There can be a family gardening practice. So I've seen families where there is a plantation drive on the birthday of each of their family member. So it's a great initiative, I feel, and each of us can do it. It's quite easy to follow. So the family gardening, then the responsible nature exploration. Once you teach children at a very early stage that you have planted this tree, you have to take care of it. So definitely they are going to do it. Then what are the benefits of this? That it reinforces learning. Whatever we are teaching in the classroom, the parents are also teaching in the open, like in the environment arena. So the children, they are reinforced and they have this practice and their development and the confidence, and also it fosters community bonds. Their bonds with the community becomes stronger. Next. Okay. So here we see the social ripple effect. Okay. What does it mean? That for a lasting change, the implications have to be deeper. How? So as we are able to observe here, the individual is a part of a relationship, for example, a family. Family is a part of a larger community, and community in turn is a part of the society. So what happens? One individual affecting the family, family affecting the community, and community affecting the society. So just imagine that if we start with a member of like one family and then it goes as a ripple effect, the impact is going to be immense. So what are the implications for the lasting change? First is equity focus. That Yeah, so we should address the socio-economic and cultural barriers for inclusive engagement. I've learned about, and I've heard that at times what is happening is that we all know about the gender biasness and all those things. So I've seen that even if the girl child, if the students, they are interested in joining the mission, at times their families won't allow. So we have to make a practice, we have to take efforts so that the focus is on equity focus. The socioeconomic barriers, they have to be addressed. They have to be like we have to take care that those barriers are addressed. We have to remove those barriers. Then the intergenerational impact. So as we all know, and India is a excellent example of the joint family system where generation after generation people live together. So the intergenerational impact is also immense. So the parents, they model behaviors and the children become advocates. If the grandparents follow a sustainable practice, so will be followed by the parent, and this will be carried forward to the next generation. So it becomes easier to transfer those practices through the intergenerational impact. Then comes the bridging divides. For example, if the school is teaching the child something else, at home he's learning something else, and in the society he's learning something else, the child will never be able to follow the sustainable practice. He will not be able to bring about a positive change. So if the same habit is taught to him at school, at home, in the community, in his friend circle, so of course he's going to follow it and practice it and also teach it to others. So that is definitely going to bring about a social ripple effect. Yes, next. Now comes the second pillar, the government and the NGO partnerships. Now this is also very, very important, as we can see in the picture that the citizens and the community and the NGOs and the national and local governments, there is a lot of gap amongst all these people. What is taught at times by the school is not followed at a larger scale. What is ruled, what is circulated by the government or the national agencies is not followed by the children at times. And the NGOs at times, like they will work on their principles. So there has to be a bridging of gap amongst all these. So if this gap is bridged, if we fill this gap, the potential of the change which will be brought about will be immense. So for this, what is needed is that they should have a shared goal, working together to achieve the broader sustainable development. Similarly, the alliances, there should be strategic alliances, and they should leverage the distinct strengths of public and non-profit sectors. So we should be able to make out what is the major strength of the NGO, what is the major strength of the student community, and how are the government agencies involved. If we try to bring about a collective effect, it is going to be like the sustainable development is easier to be brought about. Yes, next. So now what are the collaborative models and collective gains? So the collaborative models, they can be, for example, cross-sectoral. The collaborations with tech, financial, and philanthropic sectors. For example, if I'm talking about the e-waste collection drive, so I cannot just be involved with a person who is just simply collecting the e-waste. I have to check where is he dumping this e-waste, what is going to be done with this e-waste, how is the technical sector involved, what are the financial implications. So if I dig deeper into these ideas, if I ponder about these thoughts, then the change which will be brought would be something which is effective. If I work superficially, there would be no proper change which would be able to be brought. For example, there are examples, the municipal and the NGO urban initiatives. So I was telling you about the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam idea, which is generated by the Indian government recently. And the same type of idea, which has been Haryalo Rajasthan, which has been taken up by the Rajasthan government recently. These are the projects wherein The government, municipal organizations are working with the NGOs and also bringing into collaboration so that the effect can be bigger. So there has to be a joint waste management program. And I am happy to share that we also have a lot of hand joining, hands holding with NGOs and a few government organizations. For example, the Pollution Control Board, and we have a collaboration with the Green Space organization, which is India's largest e-waste collector. And recently we received a video and a certificate from them appreciating us for the great initiative that we have taken and for a longer collaboration. So we will be sharing the pic of the certificate also and soon. For example, and then what are the benefits of these cross-sectional or cross-sectoral implication or the collaborations? The benefit is that the effectiveness gets enhanced. It increases many folds. If we are working alone, or if the society is working alone, if the school is working alone, or the NGO is trying at its own level, the impact which is brought about is not that big. But if all of them work collectively, the impact is manifold. And then similarly, leveraging the resources and expertise. For example, again, taking into consideration, say, plastic recycling. So there are, like, not many of us know that there are two types of plastics, high density and low density. So if we talk about interconverting them, recycling them, if I do not have the idea of the types of plastics, I don't think I will be able to step into this arena of getting it recycled judiciously. So I should be having that knowledge also. And if I have somebody who has an expertise in this, he or she can guide me in a better way. So the impact now, again, same thing, the impact which will be brought about or the problem solving which will be done would be to a great extent. Next. The third pillar of the community is the neighborhood. So as we can see this, the children, and nowadays I think in many parts of the country, in many areas of the cities, we can see there are a lot of organizations coming up with youngsters who are volunteering to do all these activities, the cleanliness drives, plantation drives, and all those things. So if we communicate the idea, if we tell the idea to our neighborhood, for example, one child being educated in the school and being told to spread the idea in the garden when he's going to play out with the children, that can again bring about a ripple effect. So even I did, like we did in our school, that when we started collecting with the plastic waste, we spread this idea and our children were told to spread the idea. And then, yes, we were able to get some effective results out of it. Many people, they came to us and inquired about the project and they were happy to join hands with us. So in that way only, we were able to send a lot of milk bags collected from the neighborhood to Har Ghar Hara Ghar Mumbai, which is an organization which is particularly working for the milk packet collection drive. So now what are the areas in this? The neighborhood outreach, the local focus, for example, we are translating the broad sustainability goals into tangible local actions. So it's not important just to sit at home and just take a meeting and just to speak and say that, yeah, I'm doing this and this can be done. It is important to bring about a practical effect, which can be done if we start with small steps at the local level. And we involve children, we start involving our neighborhood, and gradually, again, it will bring about a bigger impact. Now, talking about the community cohesion, so we can build a stronger, more resilient neighborhood. And we can even build our bond stronger by sharing the same ideas and working for the same goals. Next. So now, how do we bring about the grassroots impact? By making the sustainable cities and communities. How do we do this? The daily practices which promote the energy, waste, water conservation, community programs like municipal pledges, incentive programs, eco challenges. Now, this is very, very important. Nowadays, every now and then we see the new challenges coming up, and then they give some incentives. So the children take active participation. So these are also very important, and the benefits are again very immense. The monumental collective impact. So if I spread my word to a larger community, of course, I would be able to do the work at a larger level. And this also strengthens the socio fabric, builds trust and literacy. So if I'm promoting the idea in my neighborhood, in my community, in my school, so it is again bringing about a big impact. Yes, next. So how do we ensure the inclusive and sustained engagement? First step for this is to motivate the action, to explain why is it important and what impact will it bring. So we should highlight the interplay of individual actions and collective impact. So simply going to a class 3 student and telling them कि बेटा if you do this, see this will be the bigger impact. आप अपने फ्रेंड को सिखाओगे, वो अपने फ्रेंड को सिखाएगा, सब मिलकर जब ये काम करेंगे तो आपका स्कूल एक जीरो वेस्ट स्कूल बन सकता है, आपकी सोसाइटी में ये चेंज आ सकता है, आपके ऑक्सीजन लेवल्स आपके एनवायरनमेंट में बढ़ सकते हैं. Children are very enthusiastic, so if we explain them in that manner, they will get a deep motivation and they start taking action. Second is the trust and communication. So the criticality of continuous multimodal dialogue. So it's not just starting the idea and then just clicking a few pictures and then stopping the idea. It is more about bringing a social change at a larger level without any any kind of a selfish motive. So it has to be a selfless practice. And third is equity driven outreach. So if we address the systematic barriers, this leads to a equity driven outreach. We should involve everybody equally and they should be getting a chance to put forward their ideas and also to share their action plans with us. Next. The last pillar is the green celebration. So this is again a very, very important means of bringing about a larger change. For example, recently we've heard about Green Diwali, the green, a lot of things, the green colors, the eco-friendly colors of the Holi, and even a lot of eco-friendly things which are used in the different types of festivals. So this is a very unique opportunity which integrates sustainability into the cultural fabric of community life. Just giving you a simple example, the Independence Day is fast approaching. And I'm happy to share that Sir gave us the idea of seed paper. Sir, I would like to bring to your notice that our children, they made seed paper 2-3 years back, even before COVID. So we use these seed papers. Few of them were used to make flags. Few of them were used to make rakhis. Few of them were used to make invitation cards or birthday cards. So I will also show you one sample of it. So this, when we are teaching children such innovative things and you are incorporating these ideas into the celebration of larger festivals, so this becomes very obvious practice and it can be shared at a larger level with a bigger society, so it can bring a bigger impact. So similarly, the awareness platforms, they transform the traditional festivities into environmental stewardship events. Yes, next. So the eco-friendly festivities, they lead a lasting impression. As I said, I'll be sharing the picture of a flag which is made by seed paper. So what happens generally is when we celebrate Independence Day, we just, pay attention to that flag for a day and then maybe we do not, take care of it later on. So if we have these small flags made up of the seed papers, we can use them and then we can bury them in the ground and they will they turn into beautiful saplings. So they are serving a lot of good purpose, dual purpose. So similarly, we can think of more ideas. like sustainable design ideas, utilizing renewable energy, which can benefit it in many ways. For example, the carbon footprint will get reduced, the awareness will increase, the community engagement will take place. People, children will sit together and make those products, and they will have a stronger bond. And similarly, we might teach these practices to at times economically weaker sections, and they might earn something out of it, which will give them an economic support. And at a larger level, if we talk about these days, we are also hearing about the zero waste marriages, zero waste parties. So the event management practices. If the eco-friendly food sourcing, all of us celebrate annual days and sports day, a lot of events in our school. And to be very true, we have seen a lot of wastage in such events or at our homes also. So we may follow these eco-friendly ideas of food sourcing, green commutes, waste reduction, proper waste management to reduce the waste to as minimum as possible and try to bring it to a zero waste management level. Yes, next slide. So now beyond the party, if we bring about a deeper impact, the cultural integration,
अगले संडे होगा
seamlessly weaving sustainability into existing traditions. If we incorporate these ideas into our traditional ideas, for example, we all know that this is a Savan month going on, and people offer the Bel Patra to the Shivji. So if we try to incorporate such practices, such sustainable practices in our daily life and spread it at a larger scale, people are definitely going to follow them. Similarly, the economic and reputational ideas, for example, compelling businesses case for green practices, and then experiential learning, which can be brought about in school, the events which demonstrate sustainable alternatives in a life engaging session. So if we take up such programs, if we generate some ideas and we design such activities which are involving children and society as a whole and which are sustainable, it can definitely bring about a bigger impact. Next. So this is the driving action, completing the framework. How do we do it? We should do the local resource utilization, building a self-sufficiency through a circular economy. Ma'am, I think yesterday she quoted that they have designed something for the recycling in the school itself. So if we utilize the local resources and try to design them in an innovative manner so that we are able to bring about these social practices, these sustainable practices, we can bring a bigger impact. Similarly, for awareness and advocacy, we can drive the change through public education. Nowadays, there are a lot of means of spreading the word through social media and through notices by making the children aware. So yes, it can also bring about a change. And the community service projects like hands-on environmental stewardship, park cleanups, habitat restoration, tree plantation drives, these are also instrumental in bringing about the sustainable development changes. Yes, next. So this was about my idea. This was about my presentation. So our shared journey, let's share the journey forward. Let's build a vibrant, sustainable future together. So let us be interconnected and let us keep all the things interconnected to bring about a bigger impact. Yes, sure. Next slide. So now, something interesting, I would please request all of you to pay attention. Now we have formulated a 5-day community green pledge entry, the 5-day action plan for a Green Week celebration. So we will be sharing this in the group also. And Shorey, please share the Google link on the message on the chat box. So what we want you all to do is that please implicate these ideas into your Green Week celebration, whichever week you find suitable. And these are just simple ideas, very simple ideas. You can incorporate them in your school as subject enrichment activity or a no back day activity, and then just share the feedback with us. So for that, we are sharing a Google link with you in the chat box. And the same link I'll be sharing on the group also. So you can, once you are done with the activities, please share with us whatever you have done, and preferably with the pictures, so that ultimately we will come to know that what is the impact of a small initiative. And if we are able to do this successfully, we might able to do it at a larger scale as a next step. So you can note down these. I'm going to share them on the group also. Have we shared the link, Shaurya?
Ma'am, I will share once I stop the presentation. Actually, I have to copy it from elsewhere.
No problem. So you can take up these eco cleanup and poster drive, a recycle day, and local partner talk. You can approach some of your, nowadays Google has made us very easy to approach people, and you can find out who's a local person in your society who can deliver a talk on the recycling or reusing, and then you can invite that person or some NGO. Then awareness walk can be conducted, a green fair can be organized, and the community green pledge can also be organized. Yes, next. So that was about my idea. That was about the little ideas that I had, and I wanted to share with you all. Thank you again for listening to me so patiently. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And before we finish, I would like to share a few pictures with you. Yes, so this is the, Shaurya, the previous one, please. This is the initiative taken by the Rajasthan government, Haryalu, Rajasthan, which I was mentioning when I was interacting with sir in the previous session, that this is a geo-tagging drive which has been taken by the government of Rajasthan recently as a part of the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative by the government of India. Next. So this is the dolphin pledge. Recently, we have collaborated for the dolphin conservation project. So our children took this pledge for dolphin conservation. Next. This was a startup idea where again children, parents, and the neighborhood communities were involved. The children built things out of eco-friendly products, and we put up a small exhibition and come sale. So this also turned out to be super successful, and the children, the little children, this was for activity for class 6 to 8. So they were super excited when they earned something and they were able to calculate the profit which they've earned. Yes, next. So this is a seed paper which I was talking about. So we already made the seed paper before COVID times, and this was a seed paper made by one of our students, and similar seed papers were made by all the students of class 10th, and ultimately they, they utilize them as invitation cards or maybe the birthday cards and even carry bags. So, and then ultimately they planted them, and they were happy to see the saplings growing out of them. Next. Done. So this is the link given in the chat box. I will share it in the group also. So once we are done with the activity, the week-long activity, kindly share your activities on this Google link, and we all will ultimately come to know that how big impact we all can create. So this was about my presentation. Thank you again for listening. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks a lot, Pritika ma'am. Thank you so much for your guidance and such a wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to invite Nancy Sharma ma'am for formal vote of thanks. Nancy ma'am, please.
Namaskar everyone. I want to extend my sincere gratitude to Ms. Pritika Agarwal for conducting today's webinar on topic engaging the community for making a green school a sustainable future. Her expertise and passion for fostering sustainable practices through community involvement were evident throughout her presentation. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing such valuable strategies and actionable ideas. You have undoubtedly inspired all of us to take meaningful steps towards creating greener, more sustainable educational environments. I also want to thank Dr. A.K. Sharma for his valuable insight. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Gurpreet ma'am, and all the team members for making this event a success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy ma'am. Thanks a lot. Ma'am, we all are sincerely thankful to you for sharing your insights and taking time for us. Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Kritika
much.
ma'am, once again. Sir, with your permission, shall we conclude today's session? Okay, let's all be together for the Shanti Mantra. But before that, I just want to say, please don't leave the session. We want a group photograph after this.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Kindly switch on your cameras for a group photograph, please.